Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the newsroom. You can't afford to miss it.
Good day, viewers. You're welcome on board. We are in the newsroom, and today's presentation also promises to be revealing and exciting. Topics for discussion on the program today are as follows. 19 days to go. Buhari seeks $800 million loan from World Bank. President Muhammadu Buhari has requested Senate to approve the sum of $800 million meant for the implementation of social intervention programs. About 10.2 millions of Nigerians are targeted within the space of 6 months, and it will have a multiplier effect of about on about 60 million individuals, especially the poor and low-income earners. The federal government targeted that they will be collecting 5,000 naira monthly within that period. The request has been made. And next to that is over $200 billion national asset lost to terrorism, federal government. The National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, has expressed concern about the spate of attacks across geopolitical zones in the country. He called for the need to develop and possibly continuously review the measures deployed in tackling security threats against the nation's infrastructure. We will try to trash the issues out. And next is also the federal government orders private jets removal from Abuja airport. So the order came from the Federal Airport, the FAN, Aviation Agency, directing the individuals and the owners of private jets to remove it from the Nnamdi Azikiwe airports ahead of the inauguration of the next president, citing security reason for that action and directive. We also trash the issues out. And to examine all these topics, I have with me my professional colleagues in the studio. Far from my right hand, there is Wale Olayemi. You're welcome on the program.
It's my pleasure to be here. Good afternoon.
At his left side, I also have Tunde Oguntomi. You're welcome on the program.
Thanks so much. Let us ask Wale why he's coughing. Is this an exam?
So exciting. Yeah. Very close to me at my right hand, I have Latif Agbola. You're also welcome.
I'm always comfortable being in the newsroom. Thanks for having me again.
It is good to have you. So the federal government the Buhari himself also seeks $800 million loan from World Bank. 19 days to go, and today it remains 18 days. How will you react to that? Why is it now? And what is the money meant to achieve? Today go to me.
Oh, you're starting from the middle? Okay, maybe because I'm in charge of budget and planning. Well, I want to say that the Buhari government has borrowed probably more than any governments in the past. But borrowing is not bad. Okay. It depends on what you use the money to achieve.
All right.
Every nation of the world borrow money, and it's not peculiar to us as a nation state. But we must be worried by certain revelations coming from top government officials. Let me cite what Ben Akabeze, the DG of the Budget Office of the Federation, said recently. Okay. He said that there is that the borrowing space for our country keeps declining. And what are the reasons, or what is the reason? Due to inability to to service debts. The one we have already, we cannot service it, and that has to do with the fact that our revenue is not able to sustain the size of the nation's budget. I mean, the nation's debt profile. The ratio of Nigeria budget, excuse me, versus budget versus vis-a-vis gross domestic production is less than what the country can cope with. Then that has resulted in fierce competition for limited resources, which is also relatively determining how much to borrow. So we have limited borrowing space, not because our debt to our GDP is high, but because our revenue, as I said, is too low to sustain the size of our budget. Now, what was our debt profile as out of December 2022? Nigerians have a total public debt of over 46 trillion naira.
That's like last December.
You remember that the Senate recently approved the 22.7 trillion loan already spent by the executive arm of government. So to seek for more borrowing now, more loan now is it tells us that the future or the incoming government, to put it mildly, has a lot of job to do. President Tinubu, when he comes, we have a lot to do, and that could have been the reason why he's been talking about. I mean, the incoming president has been talking about removal of fuel subsidy.
Okay.
It may be something that Nigeria will have to tackle headlong this time around, because when you are hugely indebted this way and you are not producing anything, that's the problem. One of the problems of Nigeria, we are not producing anything, and we waste a lot. The corruption is thick, it's unimaginable. So I pray that God will give him the wisdom to bail Nigeria out. As I speak, I don't know how we are going to wriggle out of this financial mess.
Yes, the debt management, you said the debt profile of the country is unsustainable, like you have just asserted. They were still coming back to do more on that. How visible is the implementation of the social intervention program view this to handling Hoover?
Well, in the first instance, I may not really be privileged to have maybe a list of those people, the poorest of the poor, that get their money every month. But honestly, from where I come from, I've not been able to see, and there are some people who are poor there. I've not been able to see anybody who says he collects that 5,000 every month. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe at least you see some people who say when they were doing this, they were giving them 30,000.
Yes.
I know people who tell you that yes,
I've gotten
a lot. I'm on the program, but I don't know the way they are using to give them the money. Maybe they are taking them to by cash, because I understand that there was a time, maybe last year, they said from the humanitarian affairs office or the minister, some people are distributing money. So I don't really know how that thing is structured, and they are talking about using it to cushion the effect of the times. We are now looking forward to the removal of fuel subsidy. I don't think 5,000 with the level of inflation that we have now, which is galloping, 5,000 would do anything for any household. To even if they are just two, 5,000 won't last them a week. That's the truth. 5,000 naira can last them a week. So I think, to me, if we are having that huge amount of money, we can probably look at other things that we can do that will be on a sustainable basis, that will help people who are down the ladder. Not because over the years,
not
direct, when you give people money
just for consumption.
For consumption, you don't see any changes or any effect or impact on society. And maybe that's why I've come to the conclusion that maybe in Osun State people are not getting that money, because I've not seen anybody talking about it. Even if the majority of the people they were giving, they will be old people. At least you will see people around them who say, they gave mama, they used to come and give mama 5,000 every month. Or and I'm the one receiving the money in my account for mama. Or maybe an agreement like that.
All right. Are you disturbed that if the program has been implemented, why is it that the budget is being made now?
No, I think
why is the request for the approval?
It's only if they are doing, they are getting the approval for the money they've collected. If it's a fresh loan, I don't think, even if they approve the money today, and because all these things, they are what I would call bureaucracy in it too, even at the level of the World Bank. Even if they have approved it, and they say, okay, they will pay it on Monday, this Monday, I don't see the structure that will distribute that money within the next 2 weeks. I think barely 14 days thereabout now. So if they have sought for the loan, let the incoming government look at what they can do with it. Maybe they too distribute, or they do this, then they should forget about managing it.
Okay. Latif, what's your take on that social intervention program? How do you react to that? Why is the request being made now?
Honestly, the first question you ask President Buhari is this: you postponed the removal of the subsidy, and you are talking about the effects of what you have not even implemented. So this is a kind of abracadabra that he only can explain it. Let's assume he has implemented the subsidy now. We'll be talking about the effect of subsidy. But you've postponed it, and you allow the incoming government to do it itself. Then why trying to borrow on behalf of the project that has not been implemented? Honestly, if you look at the body language and action or inaction of the outgoing government, okay, you have a concern for the future of Nigeria. And the major problem, as far as I'm concerned, is the National Assembly. We have a kind of robust National Assembly. If you have a viable National Assembly, whereby questions will be asked, I believe we are talking about the president is talking about 800 million some days after Mr. President sent another letter to the National Assembly asking it to approve about $22.7 million that have been spent before they went there to ask for the approval. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that one thing is not clear. Who is Mr. President working for? Is he truly not from Nigeria? Something is absolutely wrong. Though there is this political connection, because as soon as the primary election of the APC ended where he didn't expect, okay, he started all this thing. But at the end of the day, Nigerians will be at the receiving end. And when you are talking about even the social intervention we are talking about, let's go back to the COVID-19 period. How truthful, how honest is those who are implementing all this social intervention? I remember after the COVID-19 pandemic, there was something like this. when Sadiya Farouk Umar claimed that a particular number of households had benefited from all this. Where I'm living, majority of the people in my community form part of the masses. I cannot call them poorest of the poor because I didn't know how they came about the poorest of the poor. But we have a number of the masses of people where I live. I've never seen anybody who confirmed the receiving of this money. You know one thing, the unfortunate thing is that there are people who are comfortable enough economically and financially who claim to have received like 2.5 million from that office to cushion the effects of COVID-19. Why the poorest of the poor could not get it? This is not what we voted for in 2015, honestly.
All right. Today, the debt management said that any country that has a GDP ratio lesser than the debt prover is in danger, and that the nation's ratio is closing to 100.
Yeah.
Morocco, there is about 40, 30, and the other countries, South Africa 30.
Yeah.
What are the dangers that lies ahead if a nation continues to borrow?
We risk going to what we call as economic recess or depression. It happened in Turkey, I think year before the last. In Turkey, one of these European countries where people were being given the chance to withdraw $1 per day at most.
All right.
The maximum a family could withdraw, and we are inviting a kind of economic wars if something drastic is not done. One has to be very patriotic by being mild in the choice of words, really. Most of the external loans that Nigeria has secured since independence is unfortunate, have been wasted on white elephant projects. And majority of the loans taken during the military era, particularly, were thought to have been shared. But we are not having the dividends of borrowing. As my two other colleagues have said rightly or observed, we were here I think 2 or 3 years ago when they started this trader money and all of that palliatives, that economic palliatives that the federal government claimed to have
social intervention programs.
And we argued that time, or we explained that time, that they may not really address poverty in this country, because how do you compile the list? Somebody from Otaye Gbagba just said that he knew nobody who benefited. The other from Ikeno said not. He said, if I have to speak now, I do not know anybody from my village who got anything from the federal government. When they said about what Latif said about the years of COVID, we can say that COVID probably was a name or a disease meant for the rich. Maybe those who got 2.5 million were thought to be rich, and they were the one who could probably get or contract COVID-19, because COVID-19 fortunately did not affect people like us who are thought to be of average income, and the poor of the poorest in the society never got contact with any COVID-19. So much to say. The more you look, the less you appear to see. But it's not just that a nation should be subjected to this kind of perpetual borrowing. It is even shameful. In other clients, when they borrow, we see what they do with it. They build infrastructure. They do a lot of things. You don't borrow money and you are sharing it to people on the streets. For party members, we know Nigeria and we know Nigerians. We know everything that could have happened or likely happened to the money they were sharing by the time they started. So, but I know that a country can borrow. For what purpose? Do you borrow money to give to others, even as a family man? I don't know. I'm not. So maybe you may need some other experts in economics and financial matters that will help us really digest this kind of matter, the issues beyond
all right.
What we are saying.
Thank you very much, Wale. Do lawmakers have the right to protect the interests of its citizens rather than rubber stamp approach, as experienced especially in the past administration? Is it the beauty of the democracy?
I think about 2 or 3 days ago, the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Reps were at a particular function, and they mentioned this matter that it's somehow painful that a lot of people are referring to the Ninth Assembly as a rubber stamp assembly. You know, that's the perception of Nigerians. That anything the executive brings, we just let it go. He said so many things that it's not usually like that. That some people think that they should be confrontational. That it's not like that in a democracy, that they complement each other. But even within that context, there's no way a parliament that is people-oriented will grant this $8 million request. There's no basis for it. The poor will not, like Jesus Christ said, that the poor will always be with us. The poor will not finish on the surface of Nigeria in 2 weeks' time if they didn't get that money. So if they are even applying for if they've applied for the loan and the consideration is there, and they know that it's a must to get National Assembly nod, then it is better left to the next administration. Okay, now the noise about census, everything just died down. They said the next administration. If we can push census to the next administration, why don't we leave these two for the next administration? Because this money now will be added to the gargantuan debt that is already on the ground. So if the government is having $800 million, maybe as a take-off grant, that will not be too much. So that's the way I see it for now.
All right. Latif, what impact will the social intervention program have on the people, the Nigerians, if it is well implemented?
You see, all this intervention, they are a kind of short-term measure. The long-term measure on this particular topic, with the little knowledge of economy that I have, is having our own refinery, local refinery that will be able to take care of local production of crude oil. You see, it is unreasonable for a country to have crude oil and have to transport that crude oil to another country for refining and return it to the country to sell. It's crazy, and all our leaders knew this. The reason they have not done the needful, I don't understand. And unfortunately, they will be talking about turnaround maintenance of all this local refinery. You see it in the budget, but you won't see the impact on the masses. Now we are waiting for the Dangote refinery in the next few weeks. Now when it is next few days, when it is commissioned by the outgoing government, the question now is that Nigeria has a stake of 20% in that refinery. Can that 20% be able to take care of the local consumption by Nigerians? One, what if Dangote as a businessman decides not to even sell to Nigerian masses because Dangote is out to make profit, and if he sees the market in another country like Benin Republic and what have you, and he'd like to transport his oil there, I don't believe anybody can challenge him because he's a businessman. By and large, what we are saying is that the Nigerian government should, as a matter of duty, yes, we may be talking about using the effect, using the social intervention for some time, but as a matter of duty, those who are concerned, unfortunately, our president is also the Minister of Petroleum Resources. They should take it as a matter of, in fact, I will even call on our people, the society people, to come out to protest that Nigeria need a local refinery that will take care of local production. The cost of production leads to what we are talking about, and those who are given the duty of importing crude oil are the one who added their own gain to all this. At the end of the day, the government will pay for what we're not supposed to be paying for in the first instance. There won't be any reason for subsidy when we have local refineries that will take care of another construction, and that's all.
All right, thank you. Before we move to the next topic quickly, I want Today also to react to this. What's the best channel of alleviating the suffering of Nigerians rather than that idea of disposing cash for consumption or monthly?
Social intervention programs work in some certain countries of the world. There's no doubt about that. It depends on certain things that are peculiar to you as a people. We have had, I can't cite instances, but I know that in certain countries of the world, social intervention programs do work. It's not that it cannot work here too, but the integrity that we need, the openness that we need, the fairness that we need, the equity that we need. That most of these programs being done by the federal government are thought to benefit people in the north more than what we have here. If you look at it from the agri sector, they give a lot of loans to farmers in the north than here. But if we want to, as my brother said, if we want to be fair to everybody, address all those things that will bring Nigeria out of the economic growth. Let us have production. Let us have agri, so that we can have, export.
All right.
And generate more revenue.
Thank you very much. Country. Thank you. We move to the next topic. Over $200 billion spent for national assets lost to terrorism. Over $200 billion national assets lost to terrorism, federal government. Is there any geopolitical zone that is not facing security challenges in the country?
I would say it depends on the degree. Every other zone has its own peculiar issues with this insecurity that we are talking about. In the South, I think it's just the Yar'Adua regime that came up with this amnesty that reduced the issue of pipeline attacks and all the rest. So, and when you go to the east now, the IPOB or whatever people, they are doing their own. They are attacking people, killing people, attacking infrastructure, like police station, prisons, government institutions are being attacked. In the north, the Boko Haram don't even know anything that they should not attack. They attack masts, telecommunication masts. They do everything to just ensure that they are in control. So all schools, they attack schools, they close schools down. A lot of things that is being done under the guise of It's either IPOB or the Boko Haram people.
And is the nation winning the challenge of insecurity?
Well, to some extent, I don't, particularly in the north, the country has recorded some gains in terms of, because before the advent of the Buhari administration, you discover that some local governments were under the Boko Haram. They were running their own gun show there. But by now I don't think there's anything like that again. But they are, but down there in the northeast, they are still battling with the Boko Haram.
All right.
And likewise, the issue of pipeline bomb attacks
okay.
in the south. They've been able to, from the Yar'Adua years, they've been able to manage the crisis that you wouldn't hardly hear about it anymore.
All right. Are you bothered with the gathering of the bandits and terrorists in close to Kanji Dam and Shiroro? What security threats does it pose?
Well, they have not just gathered there. They have always been there.
As in the northwest?
Yeah, no, that's not, should be not, is it northwest? Is it not central?
Not central.
Okay.
Now, the issue is, when you look critically into the so-called security problem in Nigeria, there is no way you can remove the political connection, whether you like it or not. In most cases, when you groom political thugs for the purpose of winning an election, after the election they become problem. That's number one. Some people, highly placed people, are taking this so-called anti-terrorism war as a conduit pipe to siphon Nigeria's hard-earned currency. What I'm trying to say here is this: in most cases, you see that high millions or trillion of dollars in the budget for anti-terrorism war, some to buy military wear, some to do some kinds of military intelligence and what have you. But all this money will end up in the pocket of individuals. We have so many cases, the retired military officers and some other people who connived with them to rid Nigeria of its money. And at the end of the day, what we have is that a kind of shift, the shift in terrorism from northeast to northwest. Now we are talking about banditry more than we are talking about Boko Haram, because the two leaders of Boko Haram, Abu Shekau and the other guy, have been neutralized. Now, when they were neutralized, their followers, many of them have surrendered, so-called surrendered. But the issue here is what is happening currently about the banditry in the northwest, because majority of the leaders of those bandits are known people in the. You recall the other time when the state governor, was it not Katsina State, suspended an emir because he gave a leader of a bandit, Zamfara State. Thank you, sir. He gave a leader of bandits chieftaincy title. So they know these people. But the question is, why are you trying to cover criminals in the name of politics? You know, we have this problem to this level because Nigerians always allow ethno-religious sentiment to come in whatever we do. Because Umar Yar'Adua had given amnesty to these people in the south government in the south. What do we call them?
The militant.
Militants in the south. People in the northeast were also talking about giving them the ministry to be taking care of Boko Haram. In the northwest now, they are now talking of something similar. So that means our mentality is lamentably low and negative. When some other countries are talking about how they go to this place to change the focus of the world. So what in essence, when we are talking about the concern even is not about these criminals. It's about those who are covering them. In fact, the people of the community too, they know them. Some people are even the career who assist them in doing these criminal activities. May God save us from us.
Thank you for your contributions. Today, what's your feeling over the spate of killings across the country? It seems that where there is no terrorism, banditry, there may be destructions of property, the wake of any problems or violence. What's the way out? How do we surmount these security challenges?
We thank you. We have to step up efforts. I mean, those in government to create jobs. One for the youth. If anybody is productively engaged,
okay,
and if our country is made to offer an average citizen the good of life, how to eat in the morning, afternoon, evening, where to sleep, where to go to school, good environment, potable water, all sorts of things. Nobody wants to die. Latif was rolling out what is happening here and there, and Olayemi, in the South, people were not just, brandishing guns. You remember what happened during the Kensal strike?
The Nile-Gonis.
When you are drilling oil from somebody's land, and the environment you are not taking care of, and the people are living in abject poverty, and you are driving your jeeps there, your Land Cruisers there, for them to see, then we open their eyes. In the North, the question of stereotype,
okay,
they don't go to school, you don't give them education, you have the female child, you pamper her, you have the male child, you send her to nursery school, you ask him to be wandering about, and people will buy them over and give them money. And in Zamfara and Northwest, what we have there is just an economic issue. We later got to know that people were dying, were ready to kill themselves, to wipe out their own villages in Zamfara because of gold. See what has just happened in Osun State.
All right.
So about the region in Osun where gold is being, being secured.
All right.
So we have to be proactive
to see something. We are still moving ahead. Still on that, Wale, how do we surmount the challenges shortly before we move to the next topic?
Well, there are two major things.
Okay.
One, the terrorism fight
Okay.
has become a big business.
Okay.
We have to take care of that.
Okay.
Because if we check the defense budget, it's a very big budget. Because the government of the day just wants terrorism to end. But we left it too late because there were security concerns after Libya fell. That basically the people who are well armed, well trained in Libya, they will come to the West African zone because that is where you have green vegetation. You don't have much of the arid desert there. So it's a place that they can use to cover up and do whatever they want to do. So those two things, if we don't address it and we keep on pumping billions there, it will just be going down the drain.
All right, take my next question. Federal government orders private jets removal from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport ahead of the inauguration of the next president. What's your reactions?
Well, maybe the security risk aspect. That okay, the inauguration will be just for a day. Maybe there's okay if we have private jet there, 2 to 3 days before inauguration, let's clean the whole place so that we have it secured. Our skies is secured. Maybe for people who are coming from outside, because you may never. The reason why they gave that order may be born out of intelligence. Some people we've just been talking about insecurity now. Some people may be planning to when you read a lot of things online, some people will tell you that the best thing is to stop the inauguration. So, and if you take it lightly, it's at your own peril. Government has all the machinery to crush any insurgency or anything that can really affect the security of the nation, particularly on the day of the inauguration of a new president, since we are running a democracy now. So there's no reason why they won't say let's sacrifice maybe a day or two.
Thank you very much. I'm still going back to today now. Well, are you worried about placing more emphasis or importance on safety at this moment? What about the concerns of the middle class that have been patronizing or passing through that place several times, and such action has not been taken up?
The FAAN and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority are not saying that there won't be flights from other places to the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja. What they have said is that people who have private jets should come and remove it from that place. And I love the way Olayemi started responding to that question. One, the federal government has the right to prepare for the inauguration come May 29.
Okay.
And that will be on the surface. But other issue of strategic interest that he mentioned is the safety.
Yes.
That look on, don't let us be complacent. Because what is happening in Nigeria today, Nigeria is no longer the country we had 30, 40 years ago. If people are aggrieved, if people have dissent, you cannot know to which level they may want to carry out their ambition. So it is better for the safety of everybody. And of course, we expect that there will be presidents across the country that will come to witness that occasion.
Okay.
I mean, foreign heads of states and government. So, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport is not small. It's a large place, but at least there should be limit to the number of aircraft that place will also contain in a particular day.
Thank you very much. Latif, how do you see the relocation order of the aircraft stationed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe? Do you see the directives visible, the workability of the order? Because we learned that there are some aircrafts that are no more serviceable.
Already granted. You see, FAAN is in the best position to answer that. But let me just say this. In the first place, not all airports have hangar where private jet can be parked.
That's it.
So that's one problem. Then another area which I even thought about is, these jets are not parked there for free. In fact, it is between 3,000 to 8,000 per hour if you park your private jet at a Nigerian airport that have hangar. So there are two questions before I go to this issue you raised. The first question is are even these big boys pay for the parking as they supposed to do?
Okay.
If they do, I believe it will have helped our economy the more. Then if they do, are these people in charge of collecting these charges, remitting it to the government coffers? We need to look into this. Then now to the issue of vacating or no vacating. Number one thing is security, as my two other colleagues have always said it. Because of the timing, you look at a diplomat will be entering Nigeria in the next few days now. Exactly. In preparation for the inauguration of the new government. No doubt about that. Maybe because of security challenges we are having. Then even if we are not been having such security challenges, it is another thing to do to ensure that our airport, especially the one at the FCT, where the inauguration will take place, look not only safe but also attractive to the incoming guests. So I believe it's a good thing, but the workability of evacuating grounded jets is what I don't understand. But if the government want to do something, the government have the power if there is will.
All right. Wally, lastly, since there is possibility that some aircraft that have been grounded are not serviceable, may not be easily removed. I think the most important thing is enhanced security ahead of the inauguration of the next president.
Well, I don't think it makes any sense for anybody to run a jet and it's no longer serviceable because you'll be paying. There's no way you won't pay. You can't. It's just like you go and put your vehicle in a garage or so, a park somewhere where the toll is maybe 100 naira per day. If you go 3 months and come back, you pay before you remove that.
Don't say there is no way they won't pay. No, what if they are really paying? The aircraft will not be there.
No,
you see, understand this country.
Concern.
No, what I'm saying.
Have they been paying?
Exactly. What I'm saying.
Have they been paying?
No, what I'm saying.
8,000 naira per hour.
No, what I'm saying.
24 hours is 8,000 in 24 places.
I think
on daily basis.
So the aircraft will not be grounded.
No, since Buhari came,
okay,
they've been paying. You know, it became an issue there and there. And most of our GOs, they will have 3-4 jets. Some of them sold 2. Because of the maintenance. That's why I say if it's not serviceable,
right,
then it's not supposed to be there. Because they are now saying, come on, if they are going to remove it, it means that they will have to fly it to another airport.
Our time is fast spent. We have to call it a day on today's edition of the program. Our special thanks to the discussants. Wally, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's lovely to have you.
Thank
you. Join my colleagues tomorrow for the next edition of the program. Do have a lovely day.
Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the newsroom. You can't afford to miss it.
Araba ni baba, ẹni abálàbà ni baba. OSBC Television Channel 32 UHF, Star Times 113 àti Free TV 502. Pẹ̀lú èèkàn ayélujára osbcng.org ti gbé àwọ̀ tuntun wọ̀. Ẹ máa pàdé wa ní gbogbo ìgbà fún àkànṣe eré oníṣe.
Ọ̀rọ̀ lọ́gọ́rọ̀ ilẹ̀ tí ọmọ pàṣẹ ọkọ̀ yàrá lẹ̀ pàṣẹ eégún tó máa ń wá lẹ́rù ẹ̀.
Ìròyìn eré ìdárayá. Ọ̀rọ̀ sùnùkùn tí gba ojú sùnùkùn.
Nígbà tí Olódùmarè rán gbogbo àwọn irúnmọlẹ̀ wá sílé ayé, wọ́n kàn ń sùn, wọ́n ń jí ni. Kò séèyàn kan tó mọ orúkọ tí ọjọ́ jẹ́.
Àwọn wo ni ẹ pè ní
àwọn irúnmọlẹ̀ tó wà sáyé? Àwọn ni Òòṣàlá, Ọbàtálá, Ọ̀rúnmìlà, Ṣàngó gbogbo àwọn àkọni báwọn.
orin ìgbàlódé àti ti ọjọ́ ọ̀hún.
ìwọ lọ̀gá èmi lọ̀gá èmi lọ̀gá ìwọ lọ̀gá.
ètò tó ṣe àgbéyẹ̀wò ìdílé tó dára.
nítorí pé mo mọ nǹkan tí mò ń wá nínú ọkàn ara mi so mo ti pinnu mo ní máa fẹ́ ọmọ yìí.
ìjẹ́ tí ẹ̀ rí wọn gan-an lákòókò náà pé ẹni tí màá fẹ́ tí ó jáde orí mi lélẹ̀.
ọ̀rọ̀ ìṣèlú àti ìgbìyànjú ìjọba.
ọkọ rẹ̀ sọ pé kò tó nǹkan kan ká máa gbé nǹkan. àti pé wọ́n ló ti ń tẹ̀síwájú. ó ti ń tẹ̀síwájú bẹ́ẹ̀ ni so bí wọ́n ti ń pè yìí ká máa dúpẹ́ nínú ìjọba ni àti pé káwa kan ká yẹra kú bẹ́ẹ̀.
àwa ká ní díẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn tí àwọn tí ò tí ì ní.
Osbc television ilé àwíyé òkè baálẹ̀ Òṣogbo òkè téńté la wà ẹ máa wò wá láwò gbádùn.